Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to control your Vista software, Jands Vista or Vista 3, with ProPresenter. I'm using Pro 7, but you can do this with Pro 6 as well if you have the communications module. Some of the language might be different between Vista 3 and Jands Vista, but the principles are the same. Same goes for Pro 6 and Pro 7. Some of the things might be called something different, so you might have to do a little digging if you're not using Pro 7, but it will work. It's just sometimes the name might be different of what you're trying to do. We're doing this all through Mac's built-in audio MIDI setup, and so I'll dive into how to set that up as well. And then you'll also notice that throughout this video the aspect is going to change because I have this little tiny screen, so sorry about that. And then also you'll notice that my cue list might be set up, or my light show might be set up a little different than yours. That's because we're going to set these up through cue list, because you can assign each cue list a different MIDI note. You can't necessarily do that within a cue list. You can set a certain note to advance in your cue list, but you can't just set each lighting cue to a MIDI note. And so you might have to end up setting up your light shows differently. I found that this works really well. So I have one light look for the message, one for pre-service. I have each one for one for each song. And you can do time codes and things like that within those cue lists. But yeah, we'll dive into that in a little bit. All right, so first thing on our ProPresenter computer, we want to open our audio MIDI setup. Go to the network here. I have a session called lights. Make sure that's checked, and then we will connect our two computers together. But we'll do that from the other computer later, just so we can look at that from a different angle. And then we're going to go to ProPresenter Preferences. We're going to go to the Devices tab. You see I have lights, and I have also another one for my Atom switcher. To add a new device, we just click on this little plus sign in the bottom corner, hit MIDI, and then you can call it whatever you want. I'm just gonna look at this one to show you what I have going. Name it lights or whatever you want to name it. I have mine set to auto reconnect. We can ignore the sources. I have mine so Ableton can trigger this, but then the destination is going to be lights, which will be your lighted computer. So we'll go back, we'll hit connect, and that should always be connected if you have the auto connect, but if you have any issues, make sure that you check in here, make sure that that's connected. And then we can go through and add MIDI notes to our playlist. And so I have a MIDI note on this one, so we go to add action, communication, and then under lights, which is my MIDI light stuff, we're going to go to MIDI on. I'm just going to look at the one I already have. And so leave the channel the same. I set my intensity to 1, but you can put whatever intensity, it can be 0. And then we're going to play a MIDI note. So I have this one set to 3. And then for my songs, I have them in the 30s. So you can check the MIDI note, and I have that one set to 30. I keep a little cheat sheet in front of me so I know what's what as well. So once you go through and add anywhere you want to have a light cue, that way when we go over to our lighted computer, we can have them learn all of these notes. I have a video light cue on the video here, and then I have the pastor's message lighting look on the next slide, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and move on to our lighting computer. All right, so I've got Vista 3 opened up here. We're gonna go to our tools, make sure MIDI show control is checked. Mine was already automatically checked when I opened it, but it should just stay checked once you have it on. Then we're gonna go to File, User Preferences, and then we're gonna go over here to MIDI. And you'll see that I have this on external MIDI ports. It has network lights. That might not show up for you at first. You'll have to go to your MIDI setup, and then to your audio network, or so your MIDI network setup, and then make sure that you connect to your ProPresenter computer. So I'm already connected. Also make sure that this is who may connect to me. I would put anyone unless your other computer's in your directory, or else it won't connect. So once those are connected, network lights will pop up here, and then you can check it and then hit OK. And then from there, Like I said, I have all of my different light cues set up on different cue lists. So in playback, you can see all of the different cue lists I have set up. But I'm going to show you how to set one up real quick here. So we're going to go new, and I'll just have this one turn all my house lights to 90%, sure. And we're going to, the important thing about this is we're going to go to Tools and Insert Command. So if you don't do this, even if you set a MIDI note to this, it won't do anything. It'll just go to that playlist. So you have to actually insert a command for it to release whatever it's playing and then play this specific cue list. So release is first. So I do release all first. We're going to insert that. And then we have to go to play, and then we're going to play this one that I just created, list, insert. And then we're going to close that. And we'll save this as test. So now if we go over here into our playback, if you right click this, you can edit cue list properties. And then in MIDI, it'll give you the option to learn a note. So we're gonna go learn. And then in our ProPresenter computer, we're gonna hit a slide that has a MIDI note on it. So if I hit learn and then I click on a slide, you'll see that it read the note that I played. So we'll hit OK. And so now anytime that I hit that slide, it'll know to release any lights that are on right now, and then it'll play whatever playlist I selected. And so now if I hit, the pre-service lights, it'll automatically play the pre-service look. If I hit my song 1, it'll hit song 1. Song 2, I can skip ahead to the message, and then it just automatically reads those no matter what slide I put on. So it can bounce around all around your service order and know exactly where you're at depending on what MIDI note you hit. All right, so I'm gonna kind of show you what this looks like with ProPresenter on a show I currently have set up for our regular services. So as you can see, I have different cue lists set up for different parts of the service. So message, any videos, pre and post service, got stuff for 4 songs. I got stuff for our kids program that happens right before. And so each of these cue lists basically is a different lighting look for each thing. And if you do songs and stuff, if you want to do multiple light cues per song, that's, you can do all that in there too with time code or with learn timings. But I have them pretty simple because we don't have a ton of lights to work with. So if we look over at our ProPresenter computer here, I can set off our pre-service look by just hitting my pre-service slide, triggers that one, and no matter how many times it goes through here, I can click on this all I want and it doesn't change anything. It doesn't fire the next cue. It doesn't do anything other than just stay on that lighting look. And then if we go down to the first song here, you can see that it switches over to my song 1 cue. If I decide to jump way ahead in here, or let's see, down to my message slide. Well, so I have a video here. It'll trigger my video look. And then once it gets to the sermon, it'll trigger my message lighting, and so on and so forth. And I can jump around as much as I want and it won't do anything weird or trigger a slide accidentally. It just does whatever the MIDI cue tells it to do. So it's pretty convenient if you don't want to have to go back and if you advance your slides too quickly. I know sometimes people set it so that they can just have it play forward but not be able to go backwards. This makes it so you can jump around quite a bit. Yeah. All right, guys, I hope that was easy enough to understand. If y'all have any questions, feel free to comment or shoot me a message, and I'd be glad to help troubleshoot for you guys or help you figure out anything you need. Just note that I am a worship leader, not really a lighting designer, so this is very much something that I could definitely learn more from too. So if you guys have any additional comments on how I can improve what the setup or anything, let me know. And I would say this is not a replacement for any volunteers you have. Nothing's better than actually having a person behind the computer. But if you're ever in a bind, this is really great. Or if you just don't have enough volunteers to use your lighting computer, this is a great alternative to that. And it's as easy as turning your MIDI off and on if you ever need to use this I always just set it up just in case, and then if I need a volunteer to run it, I can just turn the MIDI off and they can run it without it stepping on their toes. So yeah, I hope that helps, and if you guys have any questions, let me know.